Howdy folks, just wanted to go over a few tips on a 1997 Harley Davidson Heritage Softail transmission leak. A friend of mine had this into the shop and he was having problems with the transmission leak. I don't know what kind of fluid they put in this thing, but it's bad. Anyways, they took all of this apart, of course, and they replaced his transmission seal. And once I got into this, before I popped this out, I already diagnosed this wasn't leaking. The seal that's leaking on this, which a lot of people miss, is there's a small seal that go in between these, so to seal these two shafts as they move independently like that. That seal is this one right here, and it's hidden. As you can see, I already drove the new one in. But it goes in and it countersinks inside of this piece, and the lip of the seal is running on this smooth shaft. A lot of people miss those seals because they are hidden behind the inner primary bearing race, which doesn't really go on the bearing until you install the inner primary. It's actually pressed onto the shaft. So if it's pressed all the way up like this, most people never see that seal. And the problem is you have to have this special tool to pull this race off, which is this Harley Davidson tool here. And as you can see, the race fits right in there and there's a little lip. Okay. Now this tool, I couldn't use it to get this one off in particular because Harley has a problem with these races. I'm going to stand up here and show you straight up. My race was all the way up against this shaft like that, which they have a problem with them walking from here to there. And when you press the new race on, you want to press it on until it's even with this outer machine part right here. Don't press it that far, don't leave it this far out, just get it right there. The reason is there needs to be this gap right there. So right about there. The reason you need that gap is if you ever have to pull it off again, this tool will come in like this. It'll come up and hook. Let me get it to where it hooks. Get you some light there. In behind that race. In my case, there was no room to hook it. So what I did, it's just another tip. Y'all can do this or not do this. This thing, I cut a slot there, 180 degrees away, I cut another slot. So this race splitter, let me get this out of the way. This race splitter would grab those two slots when I clamp it down. It wouldn't just slide on the smooth surface, it would catch those and pull it off. Well, it was very difficult, it wasn't coming off. Didn't want to break the tool, didn't want to mess up the shaft. So I took a die grinder and I cut this, it was this way. I cut it as far as I could. I couldn't go over here because of this shaft. I weakened it, and then I was able to, with these little slices I cut in it, get the bearing splitter in there, and it grabbed those, and I was able to pull that off. Now here is the tool to install the new race. So you put your seal in first, of course lube the lip of the seal, then your race, and then the race installation tool, which is basically like this. I'm not going to assemble it, but you get the idea. This piece is going to screw onto the shaft, reverse threads, and then of course the tube, this piece, and you press that on. So that is getting past, and of course, you know, when it's all said and done, you put your inner primary on, then it'll slip over this race, which will be pressed on there. So all that will go together. But this is the culprit. Always replace this seal. I see people all the time tearing these things down, replace every seal on here, shifter selector shaft seal, starter seal, this seal, all the big gasket. There's a seal on the back of this, there's a seal for the starter there. Anyway, everybody forgets this hidden seal in there. You got to pull this race off to get it. And then another thing is, when you pop this big seal out to replace this one, there's another seal that people miss that prevents transmission fluid from leaking past the splines, and that's this little rubber O-ring, and it's sort of squared off, so it's not really an O-ring, but this has to go on first. We have this piece right here, which is tapered right there on the inside, and this goes on, and then of course this is my old seal, but then your new seal goes in. So that's another tip: replace this seal and it keeps transmission oil from leaking past the splines. And that would be in the transmission seal kit. This is the primary, inner and outer primary cover kit. This is specifically transmission seal kit. This kit had the seal for the splines, which will go in here and all the way up against that. Of course, you got your cupped spacer that retains it pretty much, and that seals the splines. Okay, then you're going to have your big seal. I'm just throwing this together to show y'all. And then you're going to have this little one I replaced, which was my main culprit that drives up inside there. And I basically used this same race installer. As you can see, it's perfect. It drove that seal right up inside there. So, yes, when replacing this transmission seal and resealing your whole side, always make sure to do this small seal in here, and also the seal back here that keeps fluid from coming around the splines. Just wanted to give everybody an idea how far this race press is on. You can see that you can see the red Loctite for this nut, and the new seal is inside here. So you can see there's a gap there. And you see the machine surface right here, and basically what it did is took the puller tool apart, and I put the pulley on, put the belt on, got that all torqued down, and I used that along with a helper to hold the brake, so I could use this press to press this thing on. So I got the race pressed on. I'm going to spin this off real quick. Anyway, while you're doing this and pressing that on slowly and carefully, I was using this tool to slip behind it. As long as you can get that behind it, and it has a little bit of play, that's as far as you want to go. If you go any farther, you won't be able to get this tool behind it next time to pull it off. And as I said right here, you can see that we just reached the smooth machine surface. So that's the perfect spot to mount that race. And take this off, give you a better view. Go to this tool, we're done with this. Anyway, that was just a tip to, you know, once you get the pulley on, get it torqued down with some Loctite, put the belt on, adjust the rear, tighten the axle down, get this belt tight, then you can throw it in gear and have somebody hold the brake while you use the press tool to press this race on.